Y'all could please make your way to your seats. We're going to get started here in 3 minutes.
Test, test. Test. Yes. Testing, testing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all could please make your way to your seats. We're getting started right now. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please make your way to your seats. If you're at the bar drinking alcohol, I know it's a good time, but we'd love for you to come sit in your seats and enjoy your drinks in your seats. I see the president, Gabe Hardwick, number 20, has decided to come out this evening. Glad to see you, sir. All right, guys, if you could please quiet down, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody, to the Atlanta Young Republicans. Again, please, if we could just quiet down. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Atlanta Young Republicans. We are the largest YR organization in the Southeast. We are the YRNF chapter of the year for 2021. You're in a great place. Yes. Glad to have you all here this evening. We have a great evening planned. We have some great speakers that are going to be talking tonight, learning a little bit about the lieutenant governor's election coming up here in a few weeks. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a little change. We're going to do our announcements at the beginning now because things tend to get crazy when the event's over. So I'm going to bring up our wonderful VP of Membership, Winslow Jones.
Hey, everybody. All right, so I'll just do a quick spiel about the benefits of becoming an AYR member. So first off, I'm going to just talk about, we have the premium membership is what we recommend. You can sign up to be a premium member if you're 18 to 40, and you age out at 41, so you can enjoy all the benefits until you're 41. So the benefits, the main benefits I'm going to talk about is the first one being that you get a really cool name badge, okay, as a premium member. Okay, so that's like number one reason you should sign up, right? And then we have several paid events throughout the year, and you get a big discount as a member. And you'll probably talk about that in a second, the events. But we have at least 3 coming up, one in the summer, one in the fall, and then the big old Christmas party that everyone's always excited about. So it's worth, I mean, if you come to one of those events, or I guess probably 3 or 4 of them, that already pays for your premium membership. So it's definitely worth it. Also, if you're interested in leadership opportunities in this organization, you can only vote and serve on the board as a member. So you have some voting power there. And then this, that kind of can serve as a stepping stone to any other local positions. If you're interested in serving, as a politician and running for office one day, this is a great stepping stone to that. Lastly, we're a social club and we have a really good group. We're all kind of like a small family. And I've made some of the best friends I've had in the past 2 years. I joined 2 years ago. And so it's just really fun, and you're supporting an organization that's able to have these opportunities to meet local politicians and statewide politicians. So let me know if you're interested. I'll be up at the front after the meeting's over, and just let me know if you want to sign up. So much.
Give it up for Winslow Jones, the best VP of membership in existence. All right, well, our VP of events is not here this evening, Matt Alvarez. So I'm just going to give you a quick update on the events. Good, mark your calendars. So we are going to have our May social location to be determined is on May 12th, a normal second Thursday social event. We're going to move the date of our meeting 1 week early. So it's the third Thursday. It's going to be May 19th. And the reason that is because we want to be able to have one more meeting before the primary election. So just make sure that that's in your calendar. If you're subscribed to the AYR calendar, which is on our website, it's already been changed on there. But again, just don't come here on the fourth Thursday because nobody is going to be here. Or at least nobody from our group is going to be here. But also, we have a very exciting event. Some of you might have heard about it on Facebook. We are going to be partnering on May 7th. It's not this Saturday, but the next Saturday with Cobb YR, Lexit, Georgia, and Shelley Winter from WSB's Word on the Street. We're going to have Herschel Walker come talk to us. And here to talk about that event is Shelley Winter himself. Please give a round for Shelley Winter.
Please give your president another round of applause. My name is Shelley Winter. I co-host Word on the Street on 95.5 WSB, 9 to midnight every night. So I'll be leaving here right after this to go through my show. So when you're done with your meeting, you get in your car, just put us on. If you've never heard the show before, give us 5 minutes. If you don't like it, just keep it to yourself. And if you do like it, tell the world. As Andrew said, on May 7th, I need everyone to go to the AtlantaYoungRepublicans.com and click on events and get your free ticket. It's going to be Atlanta Young Republicans, Cobb Young Republicans, and Blexit, Georgia. Briefly, I'll tell you how this came about. The Herschel Walker campaign called me up and said, hey, we want to do something with young people and African Americans, but just mostly young people. And I said, okay, I'll figure out something. And I called around people. And then I realized, why would I just send them to another event? I would just put it together myself. I reached out to Andrew, reached out to Deanna Harris at Cobb, and reached out to Georgia Blexit, and now we're here. So next Saturday, please, we're going to ask him tough questions, nothing easy. I don't care about his football career. And so please come out next Saturday. It's at Park Bench Battery. And so please get your tickets, because that's the only way we can have it count. So please get your tickets, and please tune in, and thank you, Andrew.
Thanks so much, Shelley. Like I said, we have a very exciting event this evening. Tonight, our guest speaker is Senator Butch Miller. He's a candidate for lieutenant governor here in the state of Georgia, and he served in the Georgia State Senate since 2010. And he has most recently been serving as the president pro tem of the Senate since 2018. He most recently co-sponsored a bill many of you might have heard of, SB 202, the Election Integrity Act. And again, some of you may have heard that, some of you might have not. When he's not serving in the legislature, he's working at Milton Martin Honda, which he owns. And he lives in Gainesville with his wife, Teresa. We're honored to have him with us tonight. Please welcome Senator Butch Miller.
Thank you very much for that warm introduction. It's great to be here with you guys. Thank y'all very much for having me. By way of background, I was born in Macon. I grew up in Buford. I married my college sweetheart, Teresa. We have 3 boys, Cole, Carrie, and Charlie. Cole was born in 1987. Profoundly disabled. Did not have any purposeful movement, couldn't walk, talk, feed himself, clothe himself, could not take care for himself at all. We went all over the United States trying to figure out what caused this. Should we have more children? Of course, we didn't really want to have more children if that was going to be the case. Well, we went everywhere. We went to Johns Hopkins, we went to Scottish Rite, we went to Emory, we went to Stanford. They said, don't worry about it, have more kids. It's 1 in a gazillion, it won't happen again. We had child number 2, that was Carrie. He was born in 1990. Carrie was a typical child. We were so excited, we had 4 children. We had Charlie, that 93. Charlie, unfortunately, was born with the same affliction as his eldest brother, Cole. It's a mitochondrial disorder. It's a genetic item. I have an error on my DNA strand, and my wife has an error on her DNA strand. The fact that we would get together is truly 1 in a gazillion, but that's what caused it. Now, to give you the full story, God is still good, and life is good. I mean, really and truly, God is good and life is good. Cole passed at 14 in our home. Child's got to go. We should go in our home, in his loving mother's arms, and it was on Christmas night. But I got to tell you something. I was devastated. I was hurt. I was upset. I didn't know that I could go on, but my wife and I picked ourselves up, dusted ourselves off, and got back to work because we knew we had 2 more boys that deserved to have joy and happiness in their life. And we worked hard to give them the kind of opportunity, the kind of encouragement, the kind of support that a child needs. And we were a family in crisis. I got to tell you, we were a family in crisis. But Charlie is confined to a wheelchair. He can get in and out of the wheelchair to get in his car. But Charlie has a spirit and a drive and a determination that's unbelievable. He, we thought he would never live outside our home. He got the math award in 10th grade, was the manager of the football team, learned to drive his own car, and graduated from high school with a standard diploma. And 2 weeks after graduating from high school, left our home, never to return. And that's a beautiful thing. Amen. There you go. By the way, his brother Kerry did the same thing. Both of my sons left home 2 weeks after high school graduation and never came home. I'm not sure what that says about me as a dad. But the thing is, October 2 years ago, Charlie, a beautiful woman, came into his life, and the 2 of them were married. October 2 years ago, this past Thanksgiving, he came home and said, guess what, Dad? I said, what's that? He said, Alyssa's going to have a baby. Man, our first grandchild, little boy. And it's due on Monday. See, Monday the 1st? Yeah, it's due Monday. No, Monday's the 2nd. Due on Sunday. Due Sunday. His baby is due on Sunday. His brother came home 2 weeks later and said, guess what, Dad? My wife's going to have a baby. So we got 2 babies due, May 1st and May 15th. And and 2 little boys. We're so excited we can't stand it. On the way down here, our older son, Kerry, called. He said, By the way, just want to tell you, we're on our way to the hospital. We're going to have a baby tonight. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? So that just goes to show you, man, you got to do the hard work to get things done. But we dedicated ourselves to their opportunity to make sure that they had the opportunity to succeed, particularly Charlie. And we were just worried that he wouldn't have that opportunity, but he has exceeded our wildest expectations. Now, that's my personal life. My business life, I got in the Honda business in 1993. First month we were in business, I went to work there December 3rd, 1993. We sold 16 cars in the month of December. I'd never been in the car business. I didn't know anything about the car business, and I didn't know much about this particular dealership. We sold 16 cars. We lost $60,000. I said, don't sell any more cars, we can't afford it. But I tell you what we did. Christmas was coming around, it was December. We went out and borrowed $3,600 to give every employee a $100 bonus for Christmas. We had 36 employees, knowing that in the first year we were going to have to make some difficult decisions. We borrowed that money, gave everybody a bonus, got everybody back to work. We turned the business around. I went in the morning, cleaned the bathrooms, cleaned the windows, vacuumed the floors, did whatever I had to do to get the business ready for school, ready for work that day. Went back home with Teresa, helped her get our kids ready for school, came back to the dealership, and I sold cars or changed oil or rotated tires, whatever I had to do to make the business work, that's what I did. Just like my personal life, did the same thing in my family life. When I was elected to the state senate in 2010, I did the same thing. I took that can-do attitude, that get-it-done approach to the state senate, and I became the chairman, I became chairman of the caucus, I became the governor's floor leader, became the president pro tem. Those are positions of responsibility that show the faith and confidence that my fellow senators have in me. All the senators vote for the president pro tem. It's the highest ranking office in the Senate, and it's been unanimous on 2 occasions. I've been elected and reelected as president pro tem. I have a passion for what I'm doing. I love serving Georgia. I love serving others. I got that from my dad. My dad was a country doctor, came up with an extremely humble background. I mean, when my 3 sisters and I were growing up, my parents, now he's a physician. He was a physician. We lived in a 2-bedroom house. My mom and dad slept in 1 bedroom. 2 of my sisters slept in the other bedroom, and my other sister and I slept on the bunk beds in the den. I mean, that you don't think about a doctor being in that kind of position, but that's the position he was in. He was dirt poor, put himself through college. He had a great work ethic, and I learned that work ethic from him. Matter of fact, in the middle of the night, we'd be in that little house, that little 2-bedroom house, no air conditioning, of course, back in those days. And we hear the phone ring, 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 ring. And I'd hear the phone ring, and if I heard my dad getting dressed, I know there's going to be some action. I knew he was going to a wreck or to a hospital visit or something like that. And so I would slip down out of that bunk, slip across that bedroom, that den floor, and open that sliding glass door, slip out on the patio, scoot across the screen porch, open that screen door. You know how it goes. I'd run around the edge of the house, hop over the chain link fence, and lay down in the floorboard of the back seat of my dad's car. And he'd come running out of the house with his doctor bag. He'd go in the front seat and take off for an accident or something. We'd got 3 or 4 miles from home, and I'd raise up the back seat and say, "Where are we going, Daddy?" But that's where I first saw service to your fellow man. I saw my dad servicing, taking care of, ministering to it, helping his fellow man. People would come out of their homes with blankets and towels, comforting the injured. And you know, I saw him doing triage on the side at the rec center, and that's where I first saw service to your fellow man. It's ingrained in me. It's in my DNA. It's in my soul. I love what I'm doing, and that's why I'm running for lieutenant governor. I want to serve Georgia on a broader scale. Some of the accomplishments that I've had over the years, I have been an advocate for school choice. I've been an advocate for special needs waivers for disabled children. I have been an advocate for increasing sentencing for vehicular homicide. I have been an advocate for making gang thefts a felony, not a misdemeanor. So when gangs rush into a jewelry store or a clothing store, crash all the cases and run out with everything, That's a misdemeanor. We wanted to make it a felony. I was also an advocate for and voted for COVID liability immunity. And that is the bill that keeps your business and our business open during the COVID pandemic. That bill was so critically important to the economy in Georgia. I voted for all those bills and advocated for all those bills. My opponent voted against those bills. That's the clear difference. Someone asked me tonight, what's the difference between me and my opponent? That is a clear, bright line between me and my principal opponent. Now, there's two other people in the race, but that's the clear, bright line between me and my principal opponent. Is I voted for all those bills, he voted against all those bills. Some of the other things that I think are really important, some of the accomplishments I've had, I think citizens-only voting should be a constitutional amendment in Georgia. Thank you very much. You're right. Thanks. Now, we've recently seen where 800,000 voters were added to the rolls in New York because it wasn't a constitutional amendment in New York. It was just against the law. It's against the law in Georgia, but we need it to be a constitutional amendment. That bill failed right along party lines. Every Republican voted for it. Every Democrat voted against it. That is an absolute bedrock of the American experience. Voting matters. Voting is sacred, and citizenship matters in the United States. That is absolutely my belief, and I will stand by that. That's something I really want to get past. Some of the things that I also like to get past is I would like for us to eliminate drop boxes. Thank you very much. When we think of the drop boxes, when we think about the elections process, think about the elections process as a chain. How do you make a chain stronger? You remove the weakest link. If we remove the drop box, we make the voting process stronger. We've got a Senate Bill 202, by the way. I talked about taking that can-do attitude to the state Senate. Senate Bill 202, when your current lieutenant governor determined that he would not call it to the floor, as the president pro tem, I became the presiding officer. What's the first bill I called? Senate Bill 202. You got that right, baby. There you go. Give me a round. But Senate Bill 202, and that was important. You got to have that attitude to be willing to do the work, get the job done. And that's what I think for you guys and for the citizens of Georgia, to the lieutenant governor's office. Citizens only voting, getting rid of the drop boxes, eliminating the drop boxes, and eliminating CRT in our schools. Thank you very much. That was my bill this year. We passed that bill this year. The governor signed it this morning. That was my bill. I was the author of that bill. Another thing that I think is very, very important, girls' sports. Boys should not be participating in girls' sports. It's called girls' sports for a reason. It's for girls. So that was something else that we combined on that same bill that the governor signed this morning. That was my bill. I got it across the finish line at 11:45 on day 40. But we got it across the finish line. Those are some of my accomplishments. I've got a genuine passion and a love for what I do. I would really appreciate your vote and your support. And if you tell your friends, tell your neighbors, go to our website, butchmillerforgeorgia.com. Please find out more about our campaign. Volunteer, make a donation, send me a note, whatever you want to do. We'd love to have your help. Take a yard sign, take a bumper sticker, what have you. We need everybody's help to get across the finish line first. ButchMillerForGeorgia.com. Thank y'all very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm not sure what you expected, but this is what you get.
Thank you, Senator. You want to sit down? We'll do a couple questions here. I'll go with a couple questions, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. So if you guys have some questions, just be thinking about over the next few minutes or so. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for coming. Before we get into the lieutenant governor election, what are some key things that have, like, what's during the legislature, what are some of the big things that happened that some of the people here might have missed over the last few months?
Without question, this is one of the most conservative legislative sessions we have had in years. Ladies and gentlemen, conservatism works. Conservatism makes Georgia the #1 place to do business. And in fact, has made Georgia the #1 place to do business for 8 consecutive years. That's right. Conservatism makes Georgia a great place to do business. It makes Georgia a great place to raise a family, a great place to live, and apparently it makes Georgia a great place to retire because people are moving here right and left. So those are things that are very, very important. #1, conservatism works. We pass meaningful, important legislation every single session, some of which you'll see in the headlines, some of which you won't. The most important thing we did, or some of the more important things we did, we returned $1.1 billion with a B, $1.1 billion to every taxpayer in the state of Georgia. We could not have done that without the COVID liability immunity bill. That bill was so important. That was a big, big deal for the state of Georgia. Another thing we did a year and a half or so ago was the marketplace facilitator that permitted the state of Georgia to collect sales tax on internet sales. We were missing all the taxes that you were getting from Amazon, Walmart.com, Home Depot, Zappos. I think my wife must own stock in Zappos. But anyway, but those are some things that are very, very important that we've taken care of. Thank you.
Let's hope that those people that are moving here don't bring their blue voting history with them.
I was criticized for making the statement that we need to bring people to Georgia that share Georgia values. Thank you. Thank you. And I stand by that. I believe that. And I believe that's what makes Georgia a great state, is the Georgia values. And I think that the budget we passed this year particularly reflects the values of the state, of the citizens of Georgia. And, you know, we need to make sure that we provide educational opportunity, employment opportunity, economic investment, quality of life, all those things, and we do that through the state budget. Thank you.
You talked a little earlier about SB 202, and going back a couple years, I think going into the runoffs, a lot of the reason that we lost those 2 runoffs is because people just didn't come and vote, and because they didn't think that their votes were going to count. And so you guys passed SB 202. And so for folks in the room here tonight who might still be concerned that their vote doesn't count, as a co-sponsor bill, can you talk a little bit about the bill and why they need to show up at the polls this time?
I'd be delighted to. Thank you for the question. Senate Bill 202 is your elections integrity bill. It made voting easier and cheating harder. Can you still cheat? Well, I guess there's always a way to cheat. Is it hard to cheat? Much harder than before. In fact, it's almost impossible to cheat. We had roughly 30 or so bills in the Senate alone to do with elections integrity. And what we did with those bills is we took the Senate bills and we took the House bills and we combined those 2 groups of legislation and we took the strongest, best pieces of those legislation and put those in Senate Bill 202. And in fact, Senate Bill 79, I think it was my bill that really, I patterned that bill after something that we had a few years ago in education, where we could have schools that were habitually failing. We could go to those boards of education, teach them best practices, and help them. I'm sorry, I got to check the phone. I got a grandbaby on the way. Hold on. Not there yet. But but I had to check. I'm sorry. Literally on the way down here, he called me and said, we're going to the hospital. What were we talking about? I'm talking Senate Bill 202. Senate Bill 202 took the very best pieces of all that legislation and combined it. Senate Bill 79 was one of those great pieces of that legislation. That was part of the Elections Integrity Act, what gave us the opportunity to go in and teach election boards best practices, help us coach them up. If they could not be coached up to standard, then the state elections board had the authority to take over those elections. But that's not the objective. The objective is to have that locally controlled and have them have the opportunity to improve on their own. Thank you very much for that question. I really do appreciate it. Lots of other pieces of that legislation to do with drop boxes, for instance. As I say, I want to get rid of drop boxes. The drop boxes were supposed to be monitored. They're supposed to be videoed. Had a very tough time getting any of that from the counties. Now the drop boxes are indoors. They're monitored. They have to be enclosed. But I think you can get rid of the drop box because let me tell you something. For you to use the drop box, you have to contact your voting office, ask for an absentee ballot. They send you out the request for the absentee ballot. You fill it out and send it back to the elections office. They send you out the absentee ballot. You fill out the absentee ballot, and you take it back and put it in the drop box or mail it in. Take it back, put it in the drop box. Now, wouldn't it be simpler if you just went to the poll? You're already there. Just walk across the room and fill out your ballot. I mean, that just makes so much more sense to me than that back and forth. We need to make the process as simple as possible. Your vote counts. Let me tell you something. Every citizen has a vote, has a voice. Every citizen has a voice, and every voice deserves to be heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think most of us here who live in Atlanta can attest the crime in Atlanta is out of control. And I know that Mayor Bottoms liked to say that it was the COVID summer crime wave, and she was wrong. And so we're essentially at a time now where I guess per capita you're more likely to be murdered in Atlanta than in Chicago. And I mean that's a big statement. I mean think about how dangerous Chicago is. In per capita you're more likely to be a victim of murder. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I read on the news. More likely to be murdered here than in Chicago. As Lieutenant Governor, what do you plan to do to restore safety to our communities?
Thank you very much for the question. You know, we passed a couple pieces of legislation this past session. One was that a city or municipality or a county could not cut their funds or their public safety more than 5% unless the revenue for that community went down more than 5%. So you couldn't just, a city or a county couldn't just arbitrarily cut their funds and basically defund their police. It's just, it can't be done in Georgia anymore. That is an important piece of legislation. We've had other important pieces of legislation that go right along with that. The crime in general is absolutely a matter of priorities and a matter of allocation of resources. If we allocate the resources, City of Atlanta, for instance, allocate the resources, we can deter this crime. There's no doubt about it. You know, the natural question is, you know, we have this conversation about Buckhead and the City of Atlanta going on. Everybody deserves a vote. I just said earlier, every citizen has a voice, and every voice deserves to be heard. That's the bottom line out there. And I will tell you, I'm an advocate for law and order. I'm an advocate for safe cities, safe streets, safe schools. Let me tell you something. Very few things are more important to a mother or a father than putting that child on a school bus, knowing they're safe at that school, and knowing they're going to get off that school. Safe that afternoon. Thank you.
On the same note of crime, you talked a little about Buckhead City. Obviously, that didn't make it in this session. Can you talk a little bit about why that was, and as Lieutenant Governor in the next session, what your opinions are on Buckhead City?
That bill, the Buckhead City bill, was put into a democratically controlled committee, Urban Affairs, if I'm not mistaken. It was put in Urban Affairs. It should have been in state and local government. I voted to put it in state and local government. There are 5 votes on that committee. I'm one of 5. I had several items that I was the lone vote. That's been one of them. Another one that I was the lone vote on day 40 this year, Senate Bill 89, which would have again strengthened your elections process and added to the elections integrity. I was the lone vote for that bill. And as a matter of fact, I challenged the rule of the chair on day 40 on the Senate floor to try to get that bill on a vote on that bill. The bottom line is, as your lieutenant governor, a vote will be held. Votes matter. Voting matters. Every citizen has a vote. Every citizen has a voice, and every voice deserves to be heard. And I don't mind saying that you deserve a vote. The people of that community deserve a vote. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I would not be dissuaded from that. I will tell you one more time, this crime is a matter of priorities and allocation of resources. We allocate the resources, we can deter this crime. Thank you.
All right, we got one more question, and we'll take a few from the audience, and we'll let you get to the hospital. Oh, all right, well, don't go to the hospital. That's okay. You talk a little bit on your website about breaking up the monopoly power of big tech. We've seen what's happened with Twitter and Daddy Elon taking over there. But can you talk a little bit about your plan to fight censorship of conservatives on social media here in Georgia?
Thank you very much. And that was an important bill that we passed again this year. I think Senator Dolezal carried that bill. Listen, the fact of the matter is this. Whether it's big tech or a few years ago, the telephone companies, a few years ago, media companies, when people have an absolute monopoly and your voice cannot be heard, then that's got to change. So I believe that we just noticed this afternoon that some business people in California offered Elon Musk 100 acres free if he moved Twitter to Texas. And so the business people in Texas have offered Elon Musk 100 acres to move Twitter to Texas. The fact of the matter is, we cannot have monopolies running Georgia, making decisions for the men and women, the voters in Georgia. That is your decision. No one can take your decision. Thank you very much.
All right, we will take a couple questions from the audience. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. Auntie.
Here we go. And by the way, if I don't like your question, I'll go to somebody else.
Good idea. But so, just for like the general knowledge of everyone, would you mind giving us a high-level overview of the fiduciary responsibilities of the lieutenant governor?
The question is basically, what are the responsibilities and duties of the lieutenant governor? The number one, some of the most important things the lieutenant governor does is make sure that we've got the right people, on the bus, and we got them in the right seat. Making sure that the right people are on the right committee. For instance, if someone has the experience in finance, CPA, business, what have you, we need those guys on the finance committee. If we've got a doctor, a anesthesiologist, a physician, a surgeon, we need that person on Health and Human Services. If we've got people who are involved in agriculture, who are involved in natural resources, et cetera, we need them on the agriculture committee or the natural resources committee. You need to make sure you got the right people on the bus and you got them in the right seat. That's the number one. Number two, the lieutenant governor has a great deal to do with what bills come to the floor. And in fact, can block any bills. And that's exactly what we saw this past session. We saw bills blocked, and we saw it blocked in the previous session. Buckhead City would have gotten a vote. That's all there is to it. Senate Bill 89 would have gotten a vote. And those things need to happen. Those things need to happen. Every senator has a voice, just like you have a voice, and every voice deserves to be heard. Thank you. Yes, sir. I'm hesitant to give this guy the microphone.
You mentioned your two sons with special needs. I'm a late in life diagnosis of being on the autism spectrum, and I know what it's like to use vocational rehabilitation agency. I know what it's like. I'm also in HUD's permanent support and housing program. I've been in that program for 11 years. So my question is, especially with your family experience, what would you do as far as like make sure that vocational rehabilitation gets the funding it needs? Because every time I go to voc rehab, they want to throw the bone at the lowest paying job for someone with disability. And also, another side of the agency also does adjudication for Social Security benefits. I've known people that have taken 8 years to get their Social Security disability approved. If it weren't for them being in permanent supports and housing program like myself, they would have been homeless.
Thank you for the question. You obviously have insight to it that many of us don't. Your insight is more intimate even than mine, and I've been very involved in it. Voc Rehab and Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities provide services for the aged, the blind, the disabled, and opportunities for job training. Sheltered workshops were an item that has kind of come and gone. Frankly, we need to train people for meaningful careers, meaningful jobs, and that's what's going on now. It has improved. It does need more improvement, but we've made a great step forward with Voc Rehab, vocational rehabilitation in the state of Georgia, getting individuals out of sheltered workshops, because that was all they had was sheltered workshop, where they didn't have the opportunity to grow, didn't have the opportunity to have the training, didn't have the opportunity to feel good about the things that they were doing, to have that self-worth and that independence. So I think those are very, very important. I will have to also tell you that I think something else is very, very important, and that is affordable housing. Affordable housing that not just individuals with a disability can live in and be in and have a meaningful and fruitful life, but the other individuals, the senior adults, those are things that we need to make sure we're taking care of, and that speaks to the quality of life of the citizens of Georgia. And when I said earlier that I thought our budget reflected the values of the citizens of Georgia, it's spending money on programs like that reflect the values of the citizens of Georgia. And I think that we are all our brother's keeper. I couldn't speak to that specifically because I've not had that interaction, but I will tell you there's also waivers there's a long list for waivers and a long list for our Voc Rehab. Thank you very much for the question. We're working on it. We've improved it. Is it perfect? No, it's far from it, but it's certainly been improved. I think yours was first, actually.
Yes, Senator. I was just curious. We see a lot of anti-free speech initiatives on college campuses in Georgia. So I just wanted to know what type of folks you will I know the Senate advises and confirms, the governor's appointees. What type of folks do you want to see on the Board of Regents? And with that in mind, what kind of policies or bills would you seek to protect the First Amendment rights of students on Georgia's college campuses?
Great question. Thank you very, very much. We want to make sure that we have people on the Board of Regents and technical college boards and even disability boards and all these appointments that are qualified, non-political favors, that are qualified, that have the educational background, the work experience background, the personal background, the accomplishments in their lives that we think they'll have the knowledge to move Georgia forward. The university system of Georgia is a great system, and in fact, one of the very best in the country. Much of that is due to, as we well know, the Georgia Lottery. And the Georgia Lottery promoted the Hope Scholarship, which in turn made it increasingly difficult to get in our universities But free speech is very, very important, and I don't mean just free speech and a free speech zone. Free speech is important. Thank you. I got one time for one more question, right?
Thank you, sir, for protecting the people's right during this pandemic. My question is, seeing the unconstitutional mandates across the country, what are you doing specifically to fight for service members in the military, specifically the Georgia Army National Guard, who have religious convictions about taking the shot for religious freedom? Thank you.
I think the question was, what are we doing to prevent to protect the constitutional rights of people in the armed forces and maybe the National Guard and what have you? Much of that is decided on the federal level, not on the state level. On the state level, we passed unmasked the students this past session. We passed Parents' Bill of Rights this session, giving parents transparency and knowledge of what's going on in schools. I don't think it's like CRT, I don't think any child should be felt to be the oppressed or the oppressor simply because their racial background, their ethnicity, that sort of thing, their color of their skin, etc. So that's very, very important. But also what's very, very, very important is unmask our students. Students should not be required to wear a mask when it's not necessary. And some of our schools were doing that. Now, your question specific to the military would be a federal question, be a federal issue, and I couldn't really speak to that. I share that. Thank y'all very, very much for having me. I love being here. I love what I do, and I want to do it on a broader scale. And my name is Butch Miller. I'd like to be your Lieutenant Governor, and I will promise you two things. I will do my very best never to disappoint you. And number two, nobody will outwork Butch. Thank y'all very much. God bless you. Have a great day. Thank you. And we'll give an update on baby.
Thank you, Senator. Just a couple quick last few announcements. We will get back to the bar. I know you guys want to get back. Yes, obviously, that's correct. We'll let him get to the hospital, too. I'm going to go over the events one more time, just in case anybody missed them. And then I have one other announcement about something this weekend. So, again, May 7th, not this Saturday, the next Saturday, we're going to be at Park Bench the Battery. If you're wondering why we're there, we're partnering with Cobb YR. So it's kind of a common ground area between Atlanta and Cobb County. We're also, like I said, partnering with Blexit, Georgia, and Shelley Winter with WSB Radio. That's going to be a conversation with Herschel Walker, Park Bench to the Battery, 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturday, May 7th. Parking is free for 2 hours, but there's a game that night, so it's not 3 hours. But the game doesn't start till 7, so it'll be fine. Then the following week, May 12th, is our normal social, location TBD. Then again, we have a date change. We're going to be May 19th. We'll be here for our regular May meeting. The only other thing I got a text about, we do a lot of work with Georgia Victory, and they need people to volunteer this Saturday. I'm going to put this out on social media. I don't have the info in here, but it'll be this. Yes, Mary Catherine. She's supposed to be here giving this announcement, but she's not here. But this Saturday, they need some volunteers to go knock some doors and make some phone calls. So if you're interested in that, you can come talk to me, and I'll get your information to Mary Catherine. But also it'll be on social media for you to sign up. But thank you guys so much. Please give another round for Senator Butch Miller, and get back to the bar.
Okay, he said I could say one more thing, so I'll tell you this. They told me that drinks were free for me tonight, so I'd like to buy everybody a drink. I'm kidding.
It's going to put us out of business. If you're on the board, if you could please come up, we're going to get a photo with the senator, and then everybody can have a good time.